Hello, my loves. Today, let's talk about the difference between settling and being patient. I feel like when it comes to patience, I think of calm ease. I think of flow. I think of a person who is okay with the journey. They're detached from the outcome. They understand that what is for me and it's going to be there for me and with me. I just realized I didn't turn on my mic. Sorry. When I think of settling, I think of fear. I think of lack. I think of survival mode. I think of a person who has been told or sold a untruth that there is not more available for them. I think of the person who is scared of being uncomfortable, who's scared to stretch. I think of a person who has that thought process of, I'm too old, so I'll settle for this, or I'm too young, I'll settle for this, or I don't have this, so I have to settle for that. That's what I think of when it comes to settling versus patience. And I was thinking about the other day when I was on a walk, or was I running, one of the two, I was just zoned out, and I started thinking of when things settle at the bottom of, say, the ocean or a body of water or a water bottle, all the gucky, ugly stuff, right? We see that and we're like, ew, that's gross, it's at the bottom. And that's what I started thinking of when I was thinking of settling. It can really feel icky sometimes, and not in the moment, because in the moment it kind of feels like it's the best we can have. It feels like this is what we deserve, what we're worthy of. But I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. There's so much available to us outside of our comfort zone when we're patient enough, we're actively patient, when we, put our heads down and do the mental, the physical work to get to the goals we want. And when I think about with settling, a lot of people, for some reason, if you're looking at relationships or reading books and things like that, there are people who get this gut feeling. And I kind of touched on this in my video last week on intuition. How do you learn how to trust your intuition again? How many people, they know in their guts when they meet this person, this individual, and they're like, this is not the one, but they go with it because they said, okay, this person checks these boxes, or this person doesn't check these boxes, but I'm this age, and how much more time do I have until my eggs run out, or I can't have babies? And we have all these limits we put on our brains and on ourselves and into our bodies that create dis-ease within us. And we settle for it. We settle for the job that we don't really want. It's not saying that you can't stay there temporarily while you're patient and getting the next job, putting the work towards the next job or the next opportunity. But so many of us, we just quit. We just stop. And we settle for whatever life throws at us versus going after what we want. I even think of this with settling with working out, where we can get to the point where you kind of plateau. I think that's the right terminology, but where you don't hit any new records, you're not doing anything different, you're not switching it up. And I'm not saying to switch it up every week. I'm just saying there's some people who do the same workouts all the time and they never grow or add more weight or run a little bit farther. They don't do a little bit more, in the process. And so many of us, we just get stuck in that middle or at that bottom, and we think this is what we deserve, what we are, who we should be. And that's, again, it's not the case. It's just not. You may have that dream, like you want this billionaire, this rich, really rich man, filthy rich man, and he's 6'11". I'm being dramatic, but he's 6'11", and he's good with the kids, and he's a businessman. He makes this amount of money, but he's always home. And a lot of these dreams we have kind of contradict each other, because a man who's a CEO and making that much money, he might not be home all the time to be with his kids, because a lot of times he's working most of the time. And we make all these, we create all these scenarios in our head, even though I totally agree with being delusional. Being delulu in a certain way, when it's in the right perspective, I think it can be beneficial for our dreams, for our goals. And at the same time, I feel like it could be detrimental when you are settling, in the sense of you write all these goals and dreams out, right? You don't get the guy. Again, not the crazy big ones. I'm saying you don't get the guy that has the intangible things that you write down. He cares for your family and himself. He's kind. You might have different things you write down. He doesn't have these things. And then you go for this guy who has the other things. He has the looks. He has the business. And you forget about the values and the intangible things. And you settle for this individual. You settle for mediocre love, for mediocre relationship, mediocre life, or maybe it's a big life, but you give up the parts you really wanted, the love, the connection, to have this billionaire, millionaire man. Nothing wrong with having those men, by the way. They're great men. I met many millionaire men. I don't believe I met a billionaire. I think I met one billionaire, but I think that was a one. I digress. The point is, my story is having the heart, the mind, the willpower to say, this is what I want, and I'm not going to settle for less. But when you're writing down the things you want, the reason why I'm mentioning this is you have to be careful with how you're writing. I'm not saying be realistic. I'm saying understand, okay, in this situation, I guess I am saying be realistic. You want the billionaire man, but yet what does a billionaire man require of his wife, of his significant other? He's not going to want a woman who's probably messaging him all day, every day, because he's probably busy. He's going to want somebody who's independent, who has her own, not saying necessarily it has to be her own money or her own resources, but someone who can be sufficient without him. She isn't codependent on him. She's independent in that sense. She's, what is the word I'm looking for? Interdependent, I believe, where you want somebody's everything, but you also have your own. This person is not going to find you in your room if you're always inside. Like, I'm always inside. It's very unlikely you're going to find this person. Can it happen? Absolutely. It's not like impossible. I'm just saying that the likelihood is less. So you need to show up in the places that this man may be in. Think like this man. Where would he be at? What would he be doing? What kind of hobbies would he have? What kind of seminars is he going to? What kind of lounges is he kicking it in? I would say hotel lobbies probably have certain types of hotels, certain types of casinos. You probably will find those individuals and decide that I won't settle for anything less. But that's where it comes in with me with the intangibles, because that's why when I say settling, I'm not settling for the intangibles. I could settle on, or I can make a compromise on if it's a looks thing. But when it comes to the values, the intangible things, they're very important to me. The intangible things of a business or a job, a career are important to me more than so much the aesthetic of it. And that's what I mean by when it comes to the settling side, just really reflect on, okay, where in my life am I settling? Where am I settling versus making a constructive, like you're actually thinking about it, saying, oh, hey, this is not what I really want, but I want this. So it's like, why do I want the billionaire man? Because you want the security. You want the security. Most likely, a lot of times it's the security. Sometimes it's the fame you want. You want to be seen. There's so many reasons why. And I would drill down on what those things are. Why do you want that person? And that's pretty much what you'll find your real true goal. And it may still be the billionaire. It may still be the billionaire. When it comes to your goals of your job, your business, your career, same thing. There's ways you could settle on in that career, or you could find the intangible things that you want. Like, I want a job that allows me to have the flexibility to be able to spend time with my kids or take vacation when I need to. I want an opportunity that pays me this amount of money. This is what I, require. And then you look at what is required of me to do that. And that's where patience kind of comes in. And it's where I'm kind of woven this into it. The patience side is that when you're patient, like you don't come from the lack, you're not coming from scarcity or feeling unworthy. When you have a confidence about you, you're not going to be concerned about how long it's going to take. For me, I am in my I'm 35 years old, and society says a 35-year-old is old, which I think is kind of crazy. Even when I was young, I thought people crying when they turn 30 was absolutely wild. But I get it now that I see how society acts and makes people feel like they're old or they're shunned or they're not valuable because they're aging, because they may have little wrinkles or gray hairs or cellulite or stretch marks or whatever that thing is on your body that people like to point out, or you like to point out yourself. That's probably more the likelihood, is our own selves pointing out our deficiencies that we feel are deficiencies. But at this age, it's like, oh, if you haven't found your significant other, it's highly unlikely you will. Oh, you won't be able to have kids. I don't believe that. I don't really want to have kids anymore. I used to want to, but still, what? Why can't? I mean, according to even with fitness, it's so funny because you could have a fitness age, or based on your breathing, how how you experience, how you adapt to challenges and high heart rates and different things like that. They give you like a fitness age and based on your weight, everything else. And it's funny because there could be a person who's 40, 50 years old who has a fitness age of like 25 and a 25-year-old who has a fitness age of an 80-year-old, you know? And so it's just funny to me that people put all these limits on us and say that we can't have. But I feel like if you have that delulu, that dream of, say, that billionaire, but you put in that work to be able to attract that type of person, I believe it's absolutely available to you. I believe that we are sold a pill that it's just easy. And I do think a lot of things are easy, simple, but the harder part is the mental work of saying, I deserve this. I can have this. I'm worthy of this. And if you could be patient enough to patient with action, not just standing there, but moving, even if it's baby steps, you're going to go so much more farther than you've ever gone in your whole life. The consistent, focused effort is huge. And I feel like the more I continue to do this in my own life, the more accomplishments I feel like I achieve, the personal records in fitness, the confidence, just the vibe. I feel like I feel good in the space I'm in. I know that it's a season, I'm moving into a season of change. And at the same time, I still feel confident and sure of myself in where I'm at right now, understanding that what is for me is going to make its way to me. I love something that they used to always say when I was in business. It doesn't happen overnight, but when it happens overnight. You feel like it happens overnight when it happens. Because in the beginning, it's like, oh man, that mile was hard, or lifting that weight was really difficult, or writing that page was really difficult. Showing up to work was difficult. Going on the dating apps was difficult. Finding the means to be able to travel was difficult. And all these steps, when they keep on aligning, you keep on being purposeful with them, the changes happen. And it feels like it happened overnight. And everybody else, like, it's so crazy because everybody else around you is going to think it just happened. But it was between you and you. You were the one who was waking up early or falling asleep late and putting in this effort with the mental and the physical work. And I believe it's just so much more worth it. It's so much more worth it. And so I challenge you, as I always say, I challenge you to stop settling for what is not for you. Don't settle for the things that you know that aren't for you. If it doesn't set your soul on fire, you don't get ignited when you're around this person or this thing. If you don't feel led, don't do it. Pivot, go into something else. This is true for anything: fitness, careers, relationships. And understand that relationships are going to take work. And there's some people who do need to do more inner work, more self-work before they even get into relationship. And that's why they end up settling, because they just don't feel worthy. Or sometimes we are the problem. I have a video on that from, I think, a couple years ago. Sometimes we are the problem. It's us. It's us who is the issue. It's not the other individual. They settled because you were acting up. And I try not to be super blunt and direct in videos, even though this is my true personality. I'm very direct, but sometimes it is us. And so just put the mirror in front of your face and say, where in my life have I been settling? Where in my life can I be a little bit more patient? Because how you do some things is how you do all things. If you can be patient in the little things, the bigger things, you'll see the rewards are going to be so much greater, so much greater. Stop listening to these people who are like, oh, I lost 40 pounds in 1 month because I took this shot, or I did this, and GLP, whatever's. No, it's okay to take a couple, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year to heal your body, because it took you that long to get to this point. Some people had babies. You were holding a baby for 9 months, over 9 months, or less than 9 months. Don't expect to lose weight in 1 month. It may take a couple months. Be patient and focused and consistent, and the rewards are going to pay off. I promise you they will pay off. And if you don't even hit that goal, the person you become in the process is so much greater. The knowledge I have from settling, from being impatient, from making mistakes is so much greater than when I was patient and when I was not settling, because I learned in the trenches, in the mess, in the dark parts. I learned in those parts. And what separates the person who goes through it and then gets back up and learns and not repeats it, that is the benefit. But there are some lessons it will take you a few times. You got to get knocked down, knocked in the head, knocked I'm all knocked up. I'm just kidding. You know, you learn these lessons. I just want to say, by the way, I've never had children or anything like that. I'm just saying it happens and we learn in the process, okay? We learn in the process. So that is it for this video. I will see you in the next one. With all my love, Lana.